So when you're trying to use quantum dots for display, it's a different set of challenges. In biology, the challenge was to make things biologically compatible and very small. And displays, the challenge is to make it last a long time with very high efficiency in the converting of color from blue to red or blue to green. In both cases, you want that efficiency to be very high, but it's so much more critical in the displays. In displays, you don't really care about the size of the quantum dot, so everything becomes focused on stability and efficiency in down conversion. And so you end up with particles that are much bigger, with a chemistry that's somewhat different, and the surface is also completely different because now you're trying to combine them with plastic instead of combining them with biology. The basic science remains the same, and the basic chemistry is the same, but now your application defines your specifications for the properties that you want. So you can target those specifications, and we started to do that at MIT, and then we spun that off into companies, one of them being QD Vision, that makes quantum dots for televisions at this point. And other companies have done similar things. Nanosys is another company that I was associated with when it started early 2000s, and they've also partnered with 3M to make quantum dot films that are now used in laptops, and they were used in the Kindle. Samsung has developed their own quantum dots, largely based on the models of QD Vision and Nanosys and what we had created at MIT. And those dots are in films in the high-end Samsung televisions this year, the SUHD TVs. So when we're talking about spinning out a startup to commercialize something like quantum dots for displays, there's only so far you can go in a lab with graduate students. Graduate students are there to push the envelope intellectually, but there's a lot of engineering problems that need to go when you go from the research to something that you can sell in the millions of units with stabilities on the order of tens or 30,000 hours. A lot of very small problems that require a lot of work, but are really critical to the commercialization. For example, in the displays, you want to hit the same color point, the same color every time. When we make quantum dots in the lab, we don't care if it's a slightly different shade of green every time, because that's just the way it is when you make things one at a time. So developing procedures that are standardized and robust and give you the same thing over and over again is not something that is intellectually very rewarding for graduate students. And that's when you know that you have to spin it out and make it into a company where you can spend the time and the money to do things like this. OLEDs, the way they work, is you take charge and you inject it into an organic molecule, and that organic molecule lights up. The quantum dot displays that are on the market today are LCD-based. They use blue LEDs that pump with light the quantum dots that then re-emit. But the output is very much like OLED in terms of the saturation of the colors. So what the quantum dots allow you to have is an OLED-like display, the solution to the OLED problem without the cost of the OLED, without the stability issues that OLEDs have today.